This is the Body Wise podcast. Thank you for joining Laura and Christina for another intimate exploration of collective wisdom.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Body Wise podcast. This is the last episode of the year. I can't believe how crazy it's gone. Our next episode in January will be our 1 year anniversary, which is crazy how time has flown. What a wild year it's been. And, with things kind of coming to a head at the end of the year, I wanted to dedicate this episode to discussing that end of the year, New Year frenzy. And so, right after Christmas, right? It's all peppermint mochas and Christmas trees, and then December 25th, and then it's like, what are you going to do? New Year's goals, resolutions, the diet culture comes out in full force. And, you might have noticed over the course of the year, a lot of my personal content kind of shifting. I have this weird thing where I'm like, I don't think having weight loss goals are a bad thing. And I don't shame people for that at all, for wanting to lose weight, because I know I've been there and I've wanted to lose weight and I've wanted to change my body. And I have in a lot of ways. My body has changed. Part of my journey, a side effect of changing my diet to heal, was some weight loss. But that's never been at the core of what I do. I don't do healthy food to lose weight. I do healthy food to manage autoimmune disease. And I started kind of veering away from, but online I kind of got rolled up into all of that because it's hard. The nuances are really hard to separate online. And so, I did fall into that lane for a while. But then I started getting very disheartened and a little scared and worried and just icky feeling about the content in the healthy food or diets for weight loss sphere, because things were going into disordered eating patterns and shaming and guilt, and there was it just no, it didn't look right, it didn't seem right, it didn't feel good. So I've been kind of like shimming away from that for a while now, just because I truly believe that food is medicine. And I do believe that you know weight doesn't equate health, like thinness doesn't equate health. Like there are a lot of healthy thin people, but there are a lot of healthy overweight people as well. Like being overweight doesn't mean that you are unhealthy. um I could be an example of that. For all intents and purposes, I'm probably still categorized as overweight by like conventional medicine, but I feel fine. I feel like I look good. I feel good. My labs are great. I can do all the things I want to do. My autoimmune disease is in remission. Like I feel awesome. And, you know, I'm eating healthy and working out, and this is where my body's kind of settled, and that's fine. And it fluctuates. Like it's definitely fluctuated this year with stress and changes in habits. Like before, when the gyms were open all the time, I was going regularly, and then for months I didn't go to a gym. I was just doing at-home workouts, and instead of freaking out over that, I just kind of like rode the wave. And it took a lot of separating myself and changing the content I was consuming to not fall into that trap of guilt and shame for my body changing. And now I'm going to Planet Fitness. I changed gyms because, well, the gym that I normally went to was closed, and they haven't reopened. It's a tiny gym. So Planet Fitness, it's nearby, it's big. They have it at half capacity. They clean it constantly. You have to wear masks, and I feel safe going there. So I've started going to the gym regularly. I'm back home. My husband's not deployed anymore. We're done building the house. Like my cortisol levels are definitely lowered. The elections passed, and weight's starting to come off. But I'm not because I'm trying. And that's the thing. I don't want to shame people for weight, loss goals, but I refuse to go into the new year being another person in the health space selling weight loss promises and diets. Like we're not doing that, guys, because if most of you listening to me or listening to Body Wise or the Castaway Kitchen, you're here because you like kind of holistic lifestyle. Maybe you use food to manage chronic illness or to balance your hormones. And that's amazing. And food can do all those things. And sometimes a side effect of doing those things can be weight loss. And sometimes it's not. But when it's not a failure. And I think I have to repeat that over and over and over again so you can like really drill it in there because it's so important, like so important. Because oftentimes, and this is a pattern that I see as a nutritional therapy practitioner working for a functional medicine doctor in a thriving clinic where we see hundreds of patients. And I see this through my social media channels and the messages I get from people, specifically women, that I feel great. I put my autoimmunity is in remission, or my inflammation's gone, or my got my period back, and I'm sleeping great, and my hair's great, and I have energy. But I've got like 15 pounds I really want to lose. And then they start messing with, like, I'm gonna try fasting, I'm gonna try a harder workout, I'm gonna try eating a little bit less, I'm gonna try this plan, I'm just gonna do this cleanse just really quick. And then it has this like cascade effect. And so, you know, there is this happy medium of when you balance your hormones, and that includes, hunger hormones, leptin and ghrelin, includes blood sugar regulation. You're eating nutrient dense, anti-inflammatory whole foods. You've really tuned into your body's needs. You're going to give your body what it needs. What it needs. The amount of food it needs, the amount of energy it needs, the nutrients it needs. And I have a whole gripe with not a gripe. I have a hard time sometimes consuming intuitive eating content. I understand why it works, and I understand the practice behind it, but I don't think it applies to those of us with a lot of food intolerances, right? Especially because if after a lifetime of consuming like, pizza, like gluten and grains and nightshades and dairy, of course I still crave those things sometimes, but I know I cannot have them. So I don't see those cravings as intuitive, If I'm craving pizza, I'm like, okay, my body needs like, carbs, or needs, if I'm craving, that's the way I see it, but I'm not going to actually eat a pizza. And I want to dive into this a little further because some people out there see healing protocols or healing diets as they just lump them up with, they're all diets are bad. It's all weight loss culture, bad for you. And then there's people who, then take the healing protocols, but then also use them for weight loss. And I feel like we're in between, guys. We're like, what's that song? The right here in the middle with you, because we're middle lane. Like, I do use healing protocols. I do use these dietary tools to heal my body, to help other people heal their body. And a lot of times people also use these tools for weight loss. Like, for example, I found that combining AIP, autoimmune protocol, and keto was the like gold standard for reducing inflammation in my body. Because when I did a traditional autoimmune protocol, while I found out my trigger foods, I wasn't addressing the inflammation that I was getting from like a higher carb diet, like on a regular basis. I mean, like really, really high. I was going to town on the starches, which for some people that works. For me, it didn't. And so while I still don't do a strict AIP or a strict keto, I do a little mashup, like, very much like how I wrote in my books, like Made Whole, Made Whole, Made Simple. This like AIP friendly, low carb paleo lifestyle. And not everyone has to do a low carb paleo AIP style diet to thrive. That is what my body needs to thrive. And I want to help all of you find what your body needs to thrive. And these are tools that I use because I do believe in elimination diets. I know that people, they get a lot of flack and they're going to give you disordered eating. But the problem with elimination diets, it's not the diet themselves that have issues. It's the fact that people get food fear and then get stuck in the elimination phase without reintroducing foods. And you know me, I like to walk the walk. I don't talk the talk. This year specifically, after many years, I tried nightshades, I tried tomatoes, I tried peppers, I tried all sorts of grains as long as they were gluten-free, beans, cheese, dairy. I actually have been able to eat, especially recently, like dairy fairly regularly, like cheese, like 1 or 2 ounces of cheese 2 to 3 times a week, which has been amazing, delicious. Oh my gosh, I missed it. So I wasn't scared of cheese. I would eat cheese and then I would get like this like flaky, scabby thing going on my hairline and my eyebrow, and then sometimes a patch on my nose. So I would take it out and then put it back in, take it out, put it back in. It's like, you put one foot in, you put one foot out, you put one foot in, you shake it all about. That's pretty much how I've been with food that I eliminated. I have been trying them over the last few years and to see what works. And what works changes. Unfortunately, it's just like a moving target sometimes, but I don't have food fear. I just know without a doubt my feel good foods, my worth it foods, and my hard no foods. And I continue to test things out to see if any of those things changed. So, for example, I think I talked about this either in a previous episode or I did in a newsletter, but I talked about, oh no, I did a YouTube video on why I don't intermittent fast anymore. And I also talked about carb cycling. I stopped fasting because I realized that it was really playing into my stress response and just my body wasn't liking it. But I had such a hard time like introducing breakfast. It was so weird. Anyway, so I had to really just like, one thing that helped me eat breakfast was drinking less coffee. So I would eat first and then make coffee because I realized my coffee was filling me up and then I wasn't hungry. So again, tools that work for a lot of people. There's nothing wrong with intermittent fasting. It definitely does work for a lot of things. Autophagy is amazing. When I did my 3-day fast last year, it was incredible. Like how the benefits of that, I felt them last throughout the summer. However, with the madness that is 2020, you're gonna do a 3-day fast, like your body's already stressed out, and then you're gonna tell it the, signal to your DNA that there's like, to your cells that it's like famine, there's no food. No. So how do we navigate this? How do we navigate being a person that uses dietary protocols to feel your best while dodging diet dogma, right? Like, how do we do that? So, again, not to sound like a broken record, mindset. And I'm going to repeat again, feel good foods, worth it foods, hard no foods. You have to have a very serious conversation with yourself and say, hello, my body that I love and take care of so much. What foods do I eat that really feel good? They give me energy after I eat them. I digest them like perfectly. I don't get bloaty or gassy, or my stools are like beautiful. And I sleep great and my hair, I feel awesome. Awesome. Okay, those are the foods I'm going to eat all the time, like my everyday foods. And then you're going to be like, what foods am I not eating because I'm kind of scared of, but they probably don't cause any reactions and I'm probably going to be okay if I eat them? And like, would it be worth it to eat them sometimes? And then you might find things like white rice, like when you go out for sushi, or gluten-free soy sauce because you don't react to soy, but you normally stick to coconut aminos, or, using like a little bit of Parmesan, like aged Parmesan that's essentially like lactose free. Little things like that. Maybe fruit, like, are you low carb? And maybe it's the summertime and you really want some mango or some pineapple. Like, have it, have those conversations with yourself about when can you reintroduce and add variety to your diet for foods that, okay, might spike your blood sugar a little bit. Of course, not even if you're diabetic, this is a different story, but or a little rice when you're like been paleo for years and like, will it be the end of the world? So have those conversations with yourself so you can really feel comfortable playing around with those worth it foods that really make this healing lifestyle like a lifestyle. It's instead of a diet, because you're going to be able to travel and eat out at restaurants and go to the potluck and navigate the options without being like, I can't eat anything, um, for example, like if you're just keto, just because you feel better on keto and you like keto and it's helped you in a lot of ways, but you other than that don't have a ton of food intolerances or restrictions, then you're lucky. Like you could go out for tacos and stay gluten free and like have a fun taco night. Like if you're in San Diego or Mexico, like go for it. One meal, like or two, like or a weekend. It's not the end of the world. If you're like me and I was like, I really want to go for a taco night, but I have to stay nightshade free. But I can do corn. It gives me a little bit of like digestive distress, but not a lot. But I would do the corn tortilla because I can't do the flour. I would do no salsa or pico de gallo. I would ask for the carnitas and see how they cook them. But I would make it work. And maybe instead of like, since I can't do the guac, if they, if they put jalapeno in it, then I would maybe do a little sour cream because it's dairy and it's not going to be the end of the world for me, but it's not something I eat regularly. So I would make it work so I could have fun and experience and have some tacos. And so I think that these nuanced conversations need to be happening more, where it's not a cheat meal. It's not it's not falling off the wagon. It's none of those things. You're just experiencing life. And we have, food is a wonderful thing. And yes, it's emotional, and there's no problem with that. Like, food is emotional, food is nostalgia, food is memories, smells. Like, our scent is like the sense that's the most connected to memories. And, second to that is your palate. If you don't smell, you don't taste. And so food is so much connected to that. And I really want to be your cheerleader so that you can continue to use food as medicine without falling prey to over restriction for restriction's sake. Does that make sense? Um, I do get super like, my Miami came out. Super like, I do get a little annoyed when I see these dietitians like on, these anti-diet dietitians, and they're on TikTok and this, and they're like slamming Whole30 and keto, and they're like, they're the worst, and, blah, 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 and they're super restrictive. And I'm just like, yeah, but do you only work with people who want to lose weight, or do you work with people who have like health issues? And again, a lot of times I forget that, you know, there's a lot of amazing RDs out there, but a lot of the RDs who do more whole food have then also gone on to do a continuing their education by getting like their NTP certification or a more holistic approach, because much like Western medicine, conventional medicine, that that nutrition that they learn, the way they see food is not in a food as medicine or holistic purview. um so again, I look at Whole30, paleo, AIP, keto as tools, and they're as elimination protocols, and you can make them lifestyles. Like, I like to say, like, the ancestral template is what I follow, is my lifestyle. And I take that to not just my diet, but the way I work out. I'm into functional fitness, how I manage my sleep and honor my circadian rhythm, using, like, as natural and not toxic and as in tune with my body and nature as possible. Chris Kresser has a really good article about this, because he's like the OG, like paleo diet all the way. And he had this great article on how, like, if you use it as a template, that means that you can modify it for your needs. And that's exactly what I do with my cookbooks and my blog recipes. They might be paleo or keto, but then I can put AIP modifications or low histamine, or hey, if you want to use brown sugar instead of Lakanto, go for it. Or if whatever works for you, you can swap out ingredients. And I really think that that's the key to lifelong health, because when we see patients at the clinic, at Dr. Campbell's practice, when we're dealing with chronic illness at any age, and we have patients varying from children to like elderly. I mean, we even had like a 90-year-old patient that's actually a retired doctor who had histamine issues. And at the end of the day, changing your diet's the key. Like, the key to living, like, basic. Okay, let's talk about no labels. How do you change your diet just to make it better? Like, 101. Number one, remove industrial seed oils. So you're taking out canola oil, soybean oil, grapeseed oil, sunflower seed oil, safflower oil, all of the oils, all canola, I think is a canola, grape, which is rapeseed oil. So you're taking out all those seed-based industrial oils, which again cuts out a lot of processed foods, essentially all processed foods, because they all have it. And you're going to cook with fats found in nature. Again, back to ancestral, like, fats, like things that people could make before there were like factories. So animal fats, rendered animal fats, butter, olive oil, coconut oil. Then we're going to remove refined foods, which refined oils is like the worst one, but then refined carbohydrates, because refined carbohydrates are not found in nature. They're not found in nature. Like, yes, the wheat grows in the field, but you wouldn't go eat it and chomp on, like, a wheat stalker on a leaf. I don't know what you call it. So if it has to be, go through 10 steps before it's edible, then And I want to make a caveat to say that that's the same thing. Like, although refined grain-free flours can also be kind of like not the best if you're trying to heal. Like, because yes, almonds aren't found in nature, and you could go get an almond and like soak it in the river and like peel it and then grind it with a stone, but like, no one's actually going to do that. So, limiting, like, again, when you're eating a ton of almond flour with a lot of omega-6 and like a cup of almond flour, you would never eat that many actual almonds. Like, if you were eating whole almonds, like that's a lot, so just in general, eat foods and how they're found in nature. So, if like not refined carbohydrates, but what kind of carbs are found in nature? Fruit, root vegetables, like pretty much that's it. And notice that in nature, and this is really interesting, in like nature doesn't make a high carb and high fat food together. It doesn't exist. Like no vegetable is high carb and high fat. Like it's either high carb or it's high fat. So you got like the spectrum. You have like sweet potato and then, well, avocado is a fruit, but avocado, but then, it's fatty. So isn't that crazy? And so again, think about that. But that combination that we see a lot in processed foods is refined carbs, refined fats, put it together, recipe for illness and inflammation. So just changing that, you're going to feel better, right? You're going to reduce inflammation. You're going to improve your blood sugar regulation. You're going to improve your digestion. And then from there, go forward. But because of just changing your oils and then you can't eat processed foods, what are you going to be eating? Vegetables, proteins, fruits, nuts, seeds. Like you end up at this ancestral template kind of organically. So I just think that keeping it really simple and just focusing on what was available for food before we had factories, and then you have to layer things on if you're like me and you're okay, well, I remove the seed-based oils and I remove the refined carbohydrates and I'm feeling a lot better, but I still have like my skin is still flaring or my joints are still like swelling every now and then. Okay, well, let's see what's next. Maybe we can maybe remove nuts or maybe remove like all grain legumes, And again, it's you don't have to escalate from day one. You can really baby step it. And it's all about getting to that point where you feel amazing. And then when you feel amazing and you maintain that for a while, then okay, start playing around with some things. I, personal choice, have decided to, on a regular basis, not consume grains and legumes. Do I consume them sometimes? Absolutely. Are they delicious? Absolutely. I digest them fine. I feel okay. But repeated consumption does cause start causing some bloating and just like some I don't feel so hot. And again, it's because I have a history of leaky gut and dysbiosis. I'm just predisposed. Like I short end of the stick. So I take a lot of maintenance to stay feeling healthy, but it's a trade-off, right? I forget all the symptoms I lived with when I was standard American diet. And for all intents and purposes, I ate healthy for standard American diet. I was a whole grain girl, only whole wheat pasta or whole wheat bread, ate organic, cooked from scratch, lots of veggies, didn't eat a ton of processed foods. I did love chocolate and sweets. So did do ice cream and stuff like that, but still ate healthy and ate salads and proteins and I suffered from on a regular basis for years. Let's list. So just so you can see, heartburn that I medicated for with Nexium and Prilosec for years, and I went to the ER several times due to the pain. I had headaches all the time. Like I took Motrin on a regular basis. I lived with my hidradenitis suppurativa, my skin condition, flaring constantly for like 18 years. I was constipated, like severe constipation for years. ADHD, depression, um, body aches, pains, weird fevers. Oh my God, I see fevers all the time. Ear, nose, and throat infections all the time. I mean, as a child, I definitely was like that kid who got strep throat back to back to back. I had bronchitis, asthmatic bronchitis every fall. I was always sick. I was sick all the time. I mean, I had my tonsils removed at 18 years old. Like, who gets their tonsils removed at 18 years old? Um, and so I wanted to, I thought that that was normal. So I would just take the antibiotics, take the heartburn thing, take another Motrin, take another Advil, take another this, like that was my life. Just like all these medicines over and over again, still having side effects. My digestion's a mess. Like what, you know? And on top of that, I found it impossible to just feel comfortable in my body. I was inflamed. I was achy. I remember having like really bad balance and always having a hard time like doing things like climbing things felt weird. And even at the gym, I felt awkward. And then any sports I did as a kid, I remember thinking like, I suck at this. I just had this like overwhelming feeling of I can't. And really what I was dealing with was brain fog, fatigue, inflammation, leaky gut. I mean, oh, textbook. And so as I changed my diet, all of those symptoms went away, like gone. And yeah, I mean, like moody, I get moody at PMS. I mean, like I see a therapist. It's not like, everything's like hunky dory, but it's part of my wellness, like life still happens, like eating amazing is going to make everything perfect in your life, but you start building things that like you make you more resilient. And then I have this big overwhelming feeling of I can do whatever I'm capable of. Capable of extraordinary things. Now I feel strong and confident in my body and my mental abilities. I mean, ADHD, please. I wrote like a 500-page book in 6 months, like I know I can focus. Um, so, I get sad that I see a lot of people that live with these symptoms all the time. And then there's so many different symptoms people can deal with all the time that they shouldn't have to, like eczema and psoriasis and hives and rashes and um, you know, alternating constipation and diarrhea, and constantly burping after meals and stomach aches and, just not sleeping. And it's not like that's your body trying to talk to you and saying, I'm not okay. And I believe that the best way to remedy this is through diet. Even working for the functional medicine doctor, like that I work for, Dr. Campbell, in the practice, that is the cornerstone of our treatment. We do supplement support and protocols, but the cornerstone of the treatment is diet. And we have several elimination protocols in place depending on what a patient needs. And so even before I worked with Dr. Campbell, I saw that with myself and my readers. That's why I wrote my books, and continue to see that as the number one way to thoroughly heal your body for the long run. And it has nothing to do with weight loss. I mean, it might happen, but it might not, but you will still feel better. And like, I really wanted us to go into the new year really focused on that, on feeling good in our bodies and how they are, and accepting our bodies as they are, right? Because you can't heal from a place of hate. You have to be like, I love you so much that I'm going to take extra good care of you, and commit to that. Commit to focusing on adding things to your life that are going to give you quality of life, and not getting sucked into, cuts and cleanses and boot camps. And, I love a good workout, but, if it's not sustainable, it's not going to be worth it long run. And again, things are cyclical, especially for my ketoers. Like, I get it, you want to be like, you like keto, you always like, well, I lose weight great when I'm on low carb, and that's, amazing. But if you feel like it's not sustainable and you're kind of on this on the wagon, off the wagon thing, even with your keto, start carb cycling. Add in that variety where you're okay, you keto three weeks a month, and then 1 week you'd like eat all your feel good foods and your worth it foods, and you feel better. Good Bruce, Justin's home. So same thing with AIP. If my AIP people, if you've been on the elimination phase for months and you're feeling a lot better, even if you're not in 100% remission, start adding foods back in slowly, one at a time. I wasn't in remission completely when I started adding foods in. That takes a long time. But if it's not a trigger food, you're going to still heal even with it in your diet. So I was able to add in coffee and eggs and all these other foods and continue to heal because nightshades were my biggest trigger. So don't fear food, don't fear fuel. Focus on nutrient density, on listening to your body, on managing stress, on getting sleep, on really becoming in tune with those signals that our body is sending us. And cancel all the noise. I mean, there's so much noise out there, and it's so toxic because if you only follow people who look a certain way, who are ripped with six packs, and they're the only people telling you that how to get healthy, start following other people, because I did, and it was life changing. And seeing these amazing women in all shapes and sizes killing it, like crushing their healing journeys, it's amazing, because then you're also like seeing it with your own eyes. Like, that's such a big one. So my promise to you is on Bodywise podcast and, on the Castaway Kitchen, we are really going to focus on healing. And again, no shame in your weight loss game, as long as you're focusing on healing and you're not over restricting, and you're just making changes to let your body find its happy weight, not fighting against your body to manipulate it into a size that it's probably not going to be happy in or stay in, like I always think like if you want to lose 50 pounds, but yet you lose 30 pounds, and then at 30 pounds, you can maintain effortlessly, you feel great. Why would you starve yourself for the last 20 pounds if you're just going to gain them back the minute you're not starving yourself? Like, don't do that to your thyroid or your metabolism. We have to reprogram our brains to acknowledge our bodies and really cherish them when they're at their healthiest, which isn't the same as at their thinnest. Um, so I want to leave you with that. And I want you to think on that as we go into the new year. And if you are dealing with, chronic symptoms and inflammation, and you have any topics or questions that you want to ask, just send me an email, Christina, Cristina, at thecastaway.kitchen.com, or leave a review or a comment on the podcast. That would be amazing if you guys could all leave a review, because it means a lot. And we're going to be one next episode and coming at you with some really new stuff and good interviews. So happy holidays and happy new year, everybody. We love you. Bye.